This is Dennis with Builder Academy from builderresources.com. This session I'm going to use EstimatorPro to create the proposal from the information that we developed in the estimate. Once you've completed the estimate, which we did in a previous session, you're ready to create the one-page summary proposal. Select the Customer Bid Form tab on the estimate sheet and you're looking at the basis for the proposal. I built the proposal with printouts of the key info sheet, the takeoff, and the cost breakdown summary, the estimate, in front of me. So I have information to refer to here. The first thing you want to do is check the defaulted information to make sure that you're working on the right job. On my template, I have added the capability to define draw schedule information. This information will be transferred and displayed in the payment schedule section of the proposal. By the way, if it doesn't equal 100%, it's going to turn red. We don't want any arithmetic errors on this document. Remember, this is a document that you're going to give to your prospective client. It will have legal consequences. I would strongly recommend discussing with your legal counsel the template format that you ultimately choose. In my template, I have 5 important sections. The first is the initial allowances section, and I'll be discussing that in greater detail momentarily. The second is buyer responsibilities. I want the buyer to understand that they are going to have to be involved in the process beyond just making payments. If they don't want to be involved, I want to hear them say so, and then I would change the proposal to reflect that reality. The third section is notes. I want the buyer to be crystal clear that this proposal is not the construction agreement, that it is valid for a limited time, that it is based on a standard set of specifications, and that changes in plans or specifications will change the proposal. So I have all of that written here in the notes section. The fourth section is changes requested from standard specifications. In my contract series, I advocate using a standard list of specifications. You'll find more information about that on the website at Clients, Client Contracts, the Client Contract Series, and Exhibits, specifically down here talking about initial specifications. The change that we're going to be dealing with here is the customer had requested information on how much the foam insulation would cost. So we'll put in for upgrade to foam insulation. We're going to add $22,000. Now obviously if there are more upgrades or changes to the specifications, you would just continue to list them here. As it is, that's the only one that we have for this job, so I'm going to take the rest of this information out. The fifth section is the payment schedule, and again this draws the information that you put in at the top of the page here and multiplies it times this initial price to get the draws that we would be looking for in the contract. This section outlines how I expect to be paid. This payment schedule is tied back to the client management agreements. You find them on the website under the client management documents, specifically the notices of acceptance and the draw request. These tie into the specific phases that we're asking for the draw on. Now let's consider that initial allowances section. You have 2 buttons here, Edit Bid Proposal and Hide Breakdown section. The Hide button will remove the initial allowances section from the proposal. Frankly, I don't know why you would ever want to do that. I believe that this section is one of the most important in the entire application. The Edit Bid Proposal Items button opens a pop-up that displays the entire estimate. From there, you can select phases that you want to include in the allowances section. I'm going to include entry doors, windows, plumbing, and I'll limit that to just the fixtures and show you how in just a moment. The light fixture allowance, tile and marble, floor coverings, cabinets, countertops, appliances, and hardware and mirrors. Basically, any phase in which the buyer is going to have a choice should be shown as an allowance. Now you can save this allowance package and reuse it in the future. You click on Save Selection, choose a selection number, name it, and save it. When you hit Insert, all the selected phases are added to the initial allowances list. Now you can go through and edit these numbers if you wish. I'm going to edit my plumbing fixtures here. We have plumbing and labor included in the plumbing phase number, and I'm going to check back with my cost breakdown summary to the plumbing, to my fixed materials subtotal, which would be the fixtures in this case, $8,055. I've carried that forward here to the estimate by making a note, and now I want to change the allowance to $8,055. I also want to edit my entry door to a $2,000 allowance for entry doors. And again, that's the number that I used here for my entry door allowance. All I'm doing is reflecting that information now in the allowances shown. As you can see, entering and highlighting the allowances is as easy as pointing and clicking. Once you've created the estimate, preparing the proposal is a snap. And by creating a template with all the necessary elements of the agreement, you're not going to forget to include some important component. Now you review the estimate to check for spelling mistakes and any numerical mistakes. Make sure it all makes sense, print it, and you're ready to present it to your buyer. The next step is to take the time to go over the proposal with the prospect. You try to get everything out in the open via this proposal before you contract with the buyer. If there are money issues, the buyer may be concerned about the payment schedule. If there are specification issues between the husband and wife, going over the allowances may bring those out. At the very least, if and when problems arise in the construction process, you'll be able to ask, "Do you remember when we talked about that?" EstimatorPro provides everything you need to rapidly create reliable, comprehensive, professional-looking proposals that can lead to more contracts for you. Next, in our final segment of this introduction to EstimatorPro, we'll look at some of the very useful reports created as part of this application.